The present progressive, talking about what is happening right now. What is the present progressive? In English, the present progressive is used to talk about what someone is doing at that exact moment in time. Examples might be, I am walking, we are watching TV, he is skiing. Notice that this form is always made up of a conjugation of the verb to be plus another verb ending in ing. The Spanish present progressive is also created by conjugating the verb to be estar and adding an additional verb that ends with the equivalent of ing. Spanish has two endings that are the same in meaning as ing. There is ando, A-N-D-O, that we add to AR verbs, and iendo, I-E-N-D-O, that we add to the ER and the IR verbs. Step 1. The first step in creating the present progressive tense is to conjugate the verb estar. The conjugations of estar are estoy, estás, está, estamos, and están. Step 2. We need to change the infinitive form of the verb by changing its ending. Remember that AR verbs are going to have ando, A-N-D-O, while the ER verbs and IR verbs are going to end in iendo, I-E-N-D-O. So if we wanted to change the verb cantar, which means to sing, into singing, we would first erase the infinitive marker AR. Then we would add the AR ending ando. This would give us cantando, or singing. Let's put it all together now. If I wanted to say, I am walking, in Spanish, I would take the yo form of the verb estar, estoy, and the ing form of andar, andando, and combine them into the sentence yo estoy andando. I can do the same thing with she is eating. The she form of estar is está, and the ing form of comer is comiendo. So I would say, ella está comiendo. Finally, they are writing would be, ellos están escribiendo. The present progressive form is easy to create for all regular verbs. Simply remember to always use the correct form of the verb estar and the correct ending ando for AR verbs and yendo for ER and IR verbs. There are two groups of verbs that will require spelling changes. The first group are the IR stem-changing verbs. IR stem-changing verbs are the only verbs that keep their stem changes in preterite tense. AR verbs and ER verbs will either become regular verbs or irregular verbs in the preterite tense. The spelling changes that take place in the preterite tense IR stem-changing verbs also take place in their ing or progressive forms. The following verbs have spelling changes in the preterite tense which carry over to these progressive forms. Okay, the first group has E to I stem changes. So repetir, servir, pedir, seguir, vestir, and decir. The other verbs, and the only one you need to worry about right now in this group is dormir, has a spelling change from O to U. Now how does the stem change work? Let's use pedir as an example. First we take off the IR ending. This is going to give us what would normally be our stem, P-E-D. However, this stem has an E to I spelling change, so we need to swap the E for an I. So our correct stem is going to be pid. All that is left is to add the ending iendo, and we have our correct progressive form, pidiendo. Now we're ready to create a sentence. Let's select the correct form of estar. In this case, let's say we are. Nosotros estamos. Now, let's add the verb in its progressive ing form. Let's use pedir since we already know it is pidiendo. Now let's create the sentence. Estamos pidiendo ayuda, or we are asking for help. Notice that we're taking the form of this verb estar and adding our ing or progressive form, and then adding whatever complements we need to the sentence. The process for the O to U verbs will be exactly the same. So let's use dormir as an example. First, we drop the IR to form what would be the traditional stem, dorm. Now we're going to change the O to a U. This will give us durm. And then we add the iendo, and we have our new form, durmiendo. Let's create another sentence. Again, we start with the verb estar. If I'm the one sleeping, we would say estoy. Now, let's add the progressive form of dormir, durmiendo. And the sentence would say, yo estoy durmiendo. I am sleeping. One last spelling change. There are a group of verbs that are called Y verbs. They're verbs like creer, leer, and traer. These verbs will also have a spelling change, but these verbs are also very easy to identify. The spelling change in every case is the I in the iendo ending is changed to a Y, as in creyendo, leyendo, or trayendo. A way that you can remember that you need to make this spelling change is if when you add the iendo ending to your verb, it gives you 3 vowels in a row, then we'll change the I to a Y. Let's summarize. The first step in creating the present progressive ending is to select the appropriate conjugation of the verb estar. Then we're going to add our other verb conjugated to its ing form. Remember that the ing form is created by adding ando to AR verbs and iendo to the ER and IR verbs. We also want to make sure that we apply any spelling changes that are needed. Remember that the IR stem changing verbs will change the E to an I or the O to a U in their progressive forms. Also, we need to remember the Y verbs. Y verbs are easily identified because if we add the iendo to the stem, we'll find we have 3 vowels in a row. If we have 3 vowels in a row in the progressive form, we change the I to a Y. This happens with verbs like creer, traer, leer, etc. Good luck. You now understand the progressive forms and especially the present progressive tense.